Well, in my opinion, if you can never be either too prepared or you can never be underprepared, because if you wait until you're completely prepared, you'll never do it or get a gig, because to me that's where you really learn. One gig is like 10 hours of practicing, in my opinion. So if you got to be well prepared, but yet if all you do is prepare and you never get out there and throw yourself into it, you'll never know how prepared you are. Now, I actually have a degree in music. I've studied a lot, and but also listening. I think listening is the most important. What music do you like? You should study everything, but in my opinion, if that's not your bag and that's not what you want to do, put your time and efforts into something that you enjoy doing, and you should enjoy the style of music or styles that you want to play, but everything is so cross-pollinated now, on a daily basis. We could in 5 songs you could play 5 completely different styles, so it's really good to be well versed, but first and foremost you got to figure out what you enjoy playing, and that's when you're going to sound your best, in my opinion.
Pretty much for me it was a school of hard knocks. I mean, start playing bars and honky tonks on the weekends, and I think that's what kind of gets you prepared, and for at least teach you how to play, try to learn how to play. The more time you put under your belt, the better you'll get at it, and just stay with it. I had an old country star, Jody Miller, told me, she said, if you move to Nashville, perseverance is the key. Don't leave. Don't move there and leave. And I did. I moved there and left. I stayed 2 years.
She was wrong.
Stayed 2 years, but anyway.
So there.
Yeah.
I think just like Brian was saying too, is find what resonates with you musically.
Yeah.
Like, I loved heavy rock growing up, but it really ended up kind of all going back to blues. And that's what really resonated with me, were some of the really cool blues songs, man, early on. And I didn't even know that for a while. I would go do some sessions and guys would talk about how they liked where my snare would just be a tad behind the beat. Like, man, you must play a lot of blues. And I'm like, not really, but then I started realizing that, that is a big influence on me. And once I realized that and started to take that in a little bit, it really resonated with me, and it opened me up to some stuff that was real important to me, learning to what I enjoy playing. And I can get overwhelmed wanting to hear guys like these guys that they're doing stuff I can't do. I'm like, man, I really should practice. I really should learn to do that. And that's a tough one, man, because when you want to be good at something, you definitely want to take in as much as you can. So it's a fine line where you could drive yourself nuts trying to really push something you don't really need to do.
It can be overwhelming. I mean, it's overwhelming for me because I try to listen to a lot of things, and there's so much stuff out there. You just gotta figure out where you want to go. Do you want to be a Dan Needham? If you do, listen to a lot of Dan Needham, and then listen to, figure out, you can kind of listen to a guy play and hear some of his influences.
In my opinion, the more you listen to a particular either artist or a particular drummer on a multitude of records that they're on, and begin to hear their nuances in their playing, the more I think when you get into certain situations, it kind of comes out in your playing. You still have your voice, but it's like hanging around these guys. If you hang around us long enough, you start to pick up on accents, or you start to pick up on new vocabulary words and things like that. And you still have your voice. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, you talk like Dan Needham," or "You talk like Joe Testa." Nobody's going to say that. They just hear that you have, "Oh, he's got 2 more new words that he's just learned." Proud of him, and just kind of carry on from there. With the listening piece, versus reading. I think personally that especially if you're in school and you're studying music, I think it's very important to learn how to read, because reading isn't going to cause you to get fewer gigs. You'll get more gigs,
Just makes your life easier.
It makes things so much easier, but there are
breaks down the rhythm for you.
Right, exactly, right.
It's
One of the biggest things I think a person needs to learn if you're going to move to Nashville, number one, listen to a click track, learn to play with a click track, learn to play with loops. It's so easy to get them these days.
Yeah.
Fruity Loops, Reason. Get you a good DAW digital workstation and record your playing a lot. And one of the first things you need to learn to do is you need to learn to write number charts. Learn enough music theory where you can write a number chart, because it'll make your life a lot easier in Nashville.
Yeah.
When I first got the Travis gig, I actually wasn't the first drummer selected for that. There was another guy that was selected, but he didn't work out. And when I went in there, it's like I didn't put all the songs. I had to learn 7 songs, and I didn't put them to memory. I took and wrote everything out, wrote the length of the songs out, and I played them. I wrote the notations out the way the old drummer, who was an excellent drummer, played them. And those guys are used to hearing that. The other drummer didn't work out, so they called me and said, "Can you do it?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "So when do I get my rehearsal? When am I going to rehearse the show?" And they said, "You don't get one. Just learn the rest of the show the way you did the audition, and we'll do it live." So I learned all of Travis's that he plays live, 22 songs. Put some drive, all that stuff. And it's just good to know that, at least that, if you're going to come to town.
Yeah. I honestly think one of the best things that drummers can do is get on the other side of the glass, is learn to hear outside from being a drummer. Listen to what you're doing from maybe a guitarist's perspective, or from a producer's perspective, or from a bass player's perspective. And I thought I saw my drumming improve dramatically once I started producing records, because I think, oh wow, oftentimes when I see it, and I want to sound like the old drummer giving advice, sage advice to the young, but I see it a lot as like, there's a lot of drumming out there now that's so ego-centered. And it's like, it seems like it's becoming more and more of a trend where it's like, you see this guy in the middle of the bandstand doing his deal, and he's, regardless of what anything else is going on, I'm like, go for it, man, because it just makes more gigs for us. It's like, because if you're so concerned about, if you're playing that song you're playing right now to get your next gig, I think your motivation is wrong, probably. And you have to serve the song, man, and serve the other players, and serve the producer and the artist. It's like in sessions, it's like it's all about servanthood, and like you said, checking the ego at the door. And I got beat out of me years ago, so it's like, no deal for me. What do you know? I mean, wear this outfit? Okay. You like the bunny outfit? Okay. Well, how about this snare drum or whatever? Bunny. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like you have to have an attitude of servanthood. I mean, that's what we are. We're servants.
That's one thing that really helped me was either having other people play on your songs or yourself playing on your songs.
Right.
And then, like you said, you get on the other side of that glass and you start hearing all these busyness and whatnot. And you're like, wow, that's really getting in the way of the song. It's totally impeding the whole process.
Yeah.
It's made me a better drummer because, it's like, am I helping the song or am I hurting the song by doing this lick or whatever?
It's almost more challenging to do that than throwing in a bunch of stuff and just learn while you're practicing.
That's a great point. A band back in the 80s, we're doing our first big, we're going to make a record, and we're in a big studio. I'm probably 20 years old, big kit, ready to go. My buddy's producing, and big power ballad. We're doing it, boom, doing it. I'm just thinking of laying it down, big hard rock. Get to the end of the song, and I know the fade's coming, so I just let it rip, on the outro. And, we stop, everything fades. I hear on the talk back my buddy Stu, who actually plays guitar with Bob Dylan now, oddly enough. Talk back, that was great, guys. Hey Kevin, that was awesome. Time was great. lose the Buddy Richfield and let's do it again. Here I'm thinking the whole song went by, this big power ballad, the groove was there, and I'm thinking this was the money. This was the thing that I brought to the table, was this big around the kid on the outro. It's like everything was great except that. I'm like, whoops, right there. I'm already right out of the gate. My first big experience in the studio. I'm going, right.
I mean,
okay, so I have it backwards.
It's like the reality is that the people who buy music in this world, I mean, aside from us, the small community of music people, they don't care.
No,
They don't give a rip about what amazing paradiddles you do.
And I got bagged for doing it for me. I was
You know,
bagged me right out of the gate. Just that was great for you. Well, let's get one for everybody else. So, damn, so it's a great
My
lesson. It's a great
parents
lesson.
were instrumental, no pun intended, in making me learn that lesson. I remember one time, I think I was 12, got my first chance to play in church, with special music. And I get up there and I'm like, all right, this is it. Let's do or die. And I went for it. And I thought I did really well. And I remember at the end of the service, they're waiting there. Both musicians. My dad was a drummer and my mother a keyboard player. I'm like, hey, Mom, how you doing? We are so embarrassed. We need you to go right now and find everybody you played with and apologize to them. Wow. Now go. I'm like, what apologize for? Get over! I hunted out everybody. I said, man, I'm so sorry for what I did. I don't know what I did.
Man, your mom is much nicer than mine, because my mom is an organist, and I grew up playing under her in church, and she had no problem doing it in service, saying, Marcus, get off the drums. John, get over here and play. You sit over there and you watch him, and I would have to sit on the organ next to her, and I would sit there and look at the little tremolo thing. I want to hit it, and I hit it one time, and she. but she would always look back at me and say, Marcus, no, right here, right in the pocket, right here, and playing in churches is intimidating, particularly, man. And I hate to say this, but particularly in black churches, man. Oh my gosh, man, those brutal. I mean, pastors will call you out, and the minister of music will call you out. They will tell you, literally will tell you to get off the drums, and that was. My mom, fortunately, was one of the ones that helped me to get to a place where at least I thought I was humble, and straighten that out immediately. And
what if we propose this? What if the whole music community was like that?
It used to be like that.
You know what I mean? It's like actually
people
cared enough about you to called you out on something.
No, or I had a friend. We were talking about this 2 weeks ago. Trumpet player. He said that long gone are the days where the older guys will pull you by your coattail and pull you to the side and say, "Hey, give you the positive stuff first, and then give you a little thing to nibble on for a while, and you don't really know that they gave it to you until later on. You think oh wait." But it'd be great to have that community of people that will pull you to the side and say, hey.
Just people asking pointed questions. I always thought that was so helpful, because you just don't see it that way. You're behind the kid, you're doing your thing, and people would ask me, why did you crash there? A simple song. And I went, I don't know.
Right.
Because that's where you just, and from their perspective, they have a song going on.
Oh, that's
you're recording or you're playing, and you had a crash there, and they're like, well,
yeah, you might be walking on the guitar.
Why did you crash there? You didn't for any reason, just because you did it because you're a drummer, and they're thinking, well, here's the song, and you're not listening. It's not really listening. It doesn't matter how you get there. It's just a matter of listening, and they're good lessons. And I had plenty of people stomp on me, which is okay. You could either take it as I quit, or you could take it, wait a minute. Well, first you might
maybe
get mad.
they're right.
As a young guy, you might get mad and say, well, screw that guy. I know what I'm doing, and then later on,
and later on it becomes subjective.
Take it and use it.
Yeah.